Thank you for the opportunity to share the Ethiopian experience. I'm going to share our experience on establishing what we call Ethiopian Universities Forum on Climate Action. So I will go through a brief introduction, signatories, where we are now, the status of the forum. I will very briefly touch on a few key aggregated achievements across universities that report back to the Secretariat and put forward a few strategic recommendations. I hope I will speak for about 10 to maximum 13, 14 minutes. So perhaps this is very common for most countries. However, in Ethiopia, starting from the Ethiopian famine back in 1960s, 1917, climate change poses a serious development challenge. In response to that, the Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian people came up with robust policy frameworks, starting from the CRG strategy, National Adaptation Plan, national determined contribution, and of course, long-term low emission development strategies, which are guiding Ethiopia's national activities on climate action. And these frameworks enabled coordination across government and the stakeholders. And indeed, Ethiopian universities have been contributing through research, innovation, and human capacity development over the last few decades. However, we recognize that the higher education sector is indeed remain underutilized in terms of pushing the national climate action agenda. So that's why we got this idea of putting together Ethiopian universities into one forum, one block. So this was initiated by Ministry of Planning and Development and the Global Green Growth Institute. Back in 2024, we conducted a national workshop on the theme of strengthening universities' engagement in climate action. It was held in Addis Ababa, and the agreement was, I was invited by the Global Green Growth Institute to present a concept paper, and I presented this concept paper on the need to establish a universities forum so that we can mobilize and coordinate universities across Ethiopia. And luckily, that was accepted. And we ended up establishing on this first meeting steering committee, and I was made the secretary of the committee. And then we start to develop the blueprint for establishment of this forum. And in 2025, Ministry of Planning and Development, Addis Ababa University, and all public universities in Ethiopia, we came together in our campus, in the main campus of Addis Ababa University, and officially launched Ethiopian Universities Forum on Climate Action in 2025. So this forum, it has really what we call general objective. That is basically to coordinate Ethiopian higher education institutions and research institutions in climate action, support the government in implementation of nationally determined contribution, national adaptation plan, and other climate-related development strategies. And there are specific objectives that we set out during that, about seven of them, which include enhancement of the engagement of Ethiopian higher education institutions in this different climate policy implementation, also to support the effort to implement the Article 13 of the Paris Agreement, focusing on education, public awareness, and international cooperation. And of course, also assist universities in developing climate strategies, promoting green campuses, and digitalization for climate resilience, the integration of climate change, environment, and sustainable development goals into university curricula and research programs, and support Ethiopia's participation in the global movement toward a zero carbon world, and establish a knowledge management system and database, and mobilize climate finance and support Ethiopia's role in international climate negotiations and conferences, such as the Conference of Parties. So I think the objectives really capture what Ethiopian universities are supposed to do. And with this, we set out the scope for the participation. So we set out education is one area, research and innovation and technology is another area where universities can participate, engagement in policy formulation, policy implementation, in terms of capacity building, in terms of knowledge exchange, having a platform, in terms of promoting the engagement of Ethiopian communities in climate action activities, and of course also to support the national monitoring and evaluation process on the achievement of climate action projects or activities in Ethiopia through data monitoring and reporting, or including development of national reports that are supported to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change. So this Ethiopian Universities Forum on Climate Action, we have this structure. We have the General Assembly. The General Assembly, it has chair and the vice chairs and secretary. And the General Assembly meets annually and approve annual plan of the forum, and select also steering committee and the technical working groups every 3 years. And then we have the steering committee, and the steering committee has 11 members, 11 member universities, and they are tasked with preparation of work plans, strategies, and setting of agendas for the General Assembly, establishing of technical working groups to undertake planned activities, mobilization of resources, funding for the forum activities. They meet quarterly, and the steering committee also chair, co-chair, and the members. And we have under the SIP and under the steering committee, we have the National Secretariat. Currently, I am hosting the National Secretariat in my college. So I am presiding over the National Secretariat. However, we have a professionally recruited specialist that will lead the operation of the Secretariat on a daily basis. However, it reports to the lead person reports to me, and through me to the president of the university. And all universities are tasked to have university climate action team, and these universities climate action teams are responsible to coordinate all climate action activities of each and every universities. And of course, and that is for all public universities. We have 47 of them currently, 40 signatories, and 7 of them, they are signing up to the forum. And all 40 universities in Ethiopia that are signatory already, they have this university climate action team. And we have also subcommittees working on agriculture, forestry, land use, energy, water sector, health, cross-cutting issues, and capacity building. And we tasked these subcommittees to develop nationally relevant projects. So I've mentioned the Secretariat, and Addis Ababa University selected to host the Secretariat as a permanent secretary of the forum. And we co-signed a memorandum of understanding with Ministry of Planning and Development. And the members of the forum, they submit project proposals, and that will be financed on availability of funds. And we also prepare proceedings, meeting notes, minutes of the steering committee and the General Assembly. So the Secretariat is currently functional. So we have roles and responsibility of the forum that I have mentioned. And we have also responsibility for the Ministry of Planning and Development, which is responsible for coordination of climate activities or climate issues in Ethiopia. They are there to provide policy guidance and alignment of forum's activity with national development priorities. They support access to international resources, including climate finance and other technical resources, and network for climate action initiatives. And they support advocacy effort of the forum to integrate climate action into national planning and development. And they also help support establish framework for universities to contribute to climate reporting and policy development in Ethiopia. And they work closely in collaboration with the Secretariat on the functioning for the forum. And now and then, the ministry also provides some financial resources and also meeting venues and support for the activity of the forum. Each university will have climate action team, and they are tasked to focus on green campuses, on focusing the research on conducting high quality research on climate action based on the regional context where the universities are found, to streamline also academic programs and integrate climate into all curriculums. These include to agriculture or IT or any academic programs that they run. They are expected to integrate the issues of climate change into their academic programs. They are also tasked to provide capacity building for local communities, students, and their partners, and expected to collaborate with international communities, university research institutes, and provide community engagement on these issues, and provide technical support for local governments where they are located. So in this context, Addis Ababa University being found within the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, we work very closely with the city administration in supporting their climate action activities. There are also joint responsibilities with the ministry that we share in terms of mobilizing of resources, capacity building, promotion of the forum on national and international platforms. We co-share these responsibilities, and the funding for this forum is expected to come from national, international sources through grants, partnerships, and donor agencies to support activities. And of course, the forum is also tasked to develop bankable projects that can attract international financing and exploring climate action and low carbon development opportunities. So as I said, 14 universities have signed, 7 are signing, and we have now these signatory universities in Ethiopia. And now, this year, March 31st, 2026, we conducted our first annual General Assembly. During this time, we got reports from 22 universities on their climate action performance. And since the forum is conducted, we actually received from all public universities in Ethiopia their annual report. And we also approved annual plan for 2026. And there are quite a lot of aggregated achievements that came out from the reports provided by the universities on hundreds of climate action initiatives and research, teaching, and community engagement, large-scale tree planting and the campus greening initiatives, and where thousands of students, farmers, and local communities benefited. And of course, during this 1 year, multiple climate-related academic programs and centers of excellence were opened and initiated also. And there are quite a lot of movements toward renewable energy and green infrastructure in different universities, and also community-based adaptation programs, watershed management, ecosystem restoration being conducted through different universities. So these achievements are quite a lot, so I'm not going to talk about them. For 2026-2027, we set out during the General Assembly key priority areas in expansion of renewable energy and the green campus initiatives, climate smart agriculture, food systems, watershed rehabilitation and ecosystem restoration, biodiversity conservation, climate research, community engagement, and related. And this is we have been progressing over the last year and a half since the start of this forum. And now this is my final slide. During our annual conference, we set out these strategic issues. I think one of the thing I want to mention here is the last one. Ethiopia is going to host COP32, and it was set out that the Ethiopian Universities Forum on Climate Action should actually try to come up to develop itself to the continental level, so that we can mobilize universities across Africa to have African Universities Forum on Climate Action. And I think this is relevant in the context of our meeting today. And I thank you for your attention.